It was the year 1960 when a young man named Uri Geller appeared on American and British TV channels and did something that no one could ever consider normal for a human being. He claimed that his mind was so powerful that he could use its strength to do anything. And yes, by anything, he truly meant anything. The audience's eyes were left wide open when he bent metal with his mind. Spoons turned soft in his hands, keys twisted with just a slight touch of his fingers. Compasses moved as if forced by his mere words. But the most astonishing ability of all was his power to create drawings of images he had never even seen before. A volunteer would secretly draw something, and then Geller would use his special power to recreate it. His drawings were not always exactly the same, but they were often so similar that people were left in shock and disbelief. And here's where the real question arises. How could a human being possibly do something like this? These were only Uri Geller's stage performances. In the upcoming part of this video, after discovering more of his incredible acts, you too will be left wondering. Was Uri Geller really a man with superhuman powers? Welcome back to my channel, viewers. Uri Geller was born in 1946 in Tel Aviv, a city in Palestine which later became part of Israel. When Geller was only 6 years old, something unusual happened. One day, his mother gave him a bowl of soup along with a spoon. It seemed like an ordinary day, until it wasn't. As Uri picked up the spoon to drink his soup, the spoon suddenly bent and fell into the bowl. At first, his mother thought maybe the spoon was weak or defective. But when the same thing happened again a few days later, young Uri realized it wasn't the spoon's fault. It was him. In an interview, Uri Geller later shared that he even demonstrated this strange ability at school, leaving his friends completely shocked. Soon, he discovered that he also had the power to read people's minds. At the age of 18, Geller joined the Israeli army and fought in the Six-Day War of 1967, where he was injured. After leaving the military, he began performing at small parties and private gatherings in Israel. At first, many people believed he was just a clever street magician using sleight of hand. But time and again, no one could figure out how his tricks worked. Geller, however, insisted he wasn't a magician at all. He was a psychic, using the power of his mind to achieve the impossible. Later, he moved to America, where the media quickly picked up on his extraordinary claims. Most Americans first came to know him in the late 1960s and early 1970s, when he began appearing on popular TV shows and magazines. On live television, he famously bent spoons with his fingers until the metal snapped apart, leaving audiences stunned. On several shows, he even asked viewers to take off their broken wristwatches, hold them tightly in their hands, and he would restart them using nothing but his mind. To the amazement of many, people actually claimed their watches began working again. By 1972, the media craze around Geller had grown so intense that even the scientific community became curious. Scientists at the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, wondered, if this man truly had superhuman abilities, why not test him under laboratory conditions? Uri Geller agreed, and for the next 5 weeks, researchers Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ studied him carefully. The first major test was based on drawings. Pictures were sealed inside envelopes and given to Geller. Without opening them, he was asked to draw what was inside. While he refused 2 envelopes, saying he couldn't do it, His drawings for the other 8 were astonishingly accurate. Sometimes his sketches were simple, sometimes mirrored, but still close enough to the originals that the scientists were left in disbelief. Next, they tested his dowsing abilities. 10 identical aluminum cans were placed in front of him, with objects hidden inside: ball bearings, magnets, sugar, and water. Even though the researchers themselves didn't know which can contained what, Uri was able to correctly identify the right cans with increasing confidence. In fact, at times he could point out the correct one almost instantly. Another test involved dice placed inside a sealed metal box. The box was shaken, and Geller was asked to predict which number would be on top once the box was opened. Out of 10 trials, he refused 2, but in the remaining 8, he was 100% accurate. The odds of guessing correctly by chance were considered astronomically low. However, not all experiments were successful. While Geller often claimed he could bend metal without touching it, in the lab he failed to do so. When allowed to lightly touch spoons, forks, or rods, he did bend them, but that couldn't be accepted as scientific proof, since no one could measure the amount of force he used. Still, some results were harder to dismiss. After these tests, the researchers wrote that Uri Geller had performed well enough to warrant further scientific study. They even coined the term the Geller effect. Overnight, he became a paranormal superstar, regularly appearing on TV shows and in magazines. But not everyone was convinced. Enter James Randi, a professional stage magician. Randi claimed he could replicate Geller's spoon bending and other tricks using only sleight of hand. On stage, he openly explained step by step how such illusions could be performed, insisting that Geller wasn't supernatural at all. This public exposure damaged Uri's reputation and planted seeds of doubt even among his fans. Despite the criticism, Geller's income actually increased because oil companies began hiring him for his dowsing abilities. He allegedly pointed out drilling sites where oil could be found, charging hefty fees for his services. In one interview, he even claimed he worked for Israel's intelligence agency Mossad, using his psychic powers to assist in certain cases. In 1973, the CIA also tested Geller's abilities. According to declassified documents, their agents reported that they saw no evidence of fraud or trickery. Some even suggested he was later used in actual intelligence missions. Decades later, in 2013, the BBC released a documentary titled The Secret Life of Uri Geller. Psychic spy, claiming he had been recruited by Mossad and used as a secret operative during the Cold War. One story suggested that he was sent to Mexico to disrupt KGB agents by psychically corrupting data stored on floppy disks. Some argue this was exaggerated, while others believe it to be true. Of course, not all of Geller's predictions or demonstrations were flawless. His style was simple. If he wasn't 100% confident, he would refuse to answer. But this also hurt his popularity at times. In 1988, a British businessman challenged him to bend a spoon under strict lab conditions for a prize of £250,000. Geller never accepted the challenge, leading skeptics to claim he had something to hide. Even today, Geller insists his powers are real and supernatural, though he admits some of his feats, like restarting broken watches, could have simple scientific explanations, such as body heat and movement. But his mind-reading experiments and uncanny accuracy in tests remain a mystery. Now 78 years old, Uri Geller no longer performs in large venues, but occasionally demonstrates small tricks like bending cutlery or moving a compass needle. Some recent videos suggest he might now be using magician's tools, such as fake thumbs, though no conclusive evidence has ever proven his powers to be fraudulent. Interestingly, Geller still owns a 1976 Cadillac decorated with hundreds of bent spoons and forks collected from famous people around the world, known as the Geller Effect car. So, what do you think about Uri Geller and his mysterious powers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it. I'll see you in the next amazing story.